Going on, everybody? Christian Yetke here again. All right, so a brotherhood. You need one. We all need one. Guys, you need to get in rooms with other people. You need to be around other people in this world and in this life who have already maybe lived a little bit more than you, and then you can learn from them. You need to be with people that are on the same path as you so you guys can work with each other and learn and grow while you're going through life, while you're younger. The younger, the better. When you can spend more time growing and building with people, amazing things will happen. We have this whole thing that you don't need to do anything in life and growing up and maturing until you hit 18, and then you have to go to college and then get a job and then learn about life and responsibility, and it's retarded. You need to do it much sooner. Parents should be having their kids and training their boys to do this a lot earlier. This is why we need brotherhoods. You need to have a group. You need to have that's why people will join gangs and people will go and be a part of some cause, whether it makes sense or not. They want to be a part of a community where they're accepted for themselves. As like a human race in general, like overall, people just want to be accepted, right? And when we don't and when we're not, then that's when we will be isolated and we'll distance ourselves. And here's the thing, the enemy comes after you when you're weak and when you're alone. And you're going to be a whole lot more weak when you're alone because guess what? You can only look in one direction and there's four directions. You can get attacked from any side. So if you don't have someone there on your six who's watching your back, who you can trust and rely on, that you trust them to watch their back, they trust you to watch theirs. That's what we need. We are meant and we were created as social being creatures that we are meant to be in a community. Okay. It is so needed, guys. You need it. I mean, everyone needs it. Men need their groups, women need their groups. I'm focusing and talking with the guys right now in particular. I know this world tells you so much about being on your own, do it yourself. You know what? I don't need anybody. Everyone can be against me. I'm gonna get through this world by myself. I'm gonna blah blah blah. I'm gonna do it all alone. And it keeps going back that I see all this crap online about people just being alone by himself. They're gonna do it on their own, et cetera, et cetera. And I really hate seeing that because I used to believe that so much. And that caused me to want to do this whole world thing alone. And I'm actually like right now in a season of transferring and restructuring my mindset and understanding that I actually can't do it alone. And I do need other people because can you get by in life? Yes, you can absolutely get by in life. But do you want to just get by? Do you just want to exist? Do you just want to get through this life just to have lived through it? Or do you want to thrive in life? Do you want to be better? Do you want to grow? Do you want to do good? I've never come across a person in my life that ever said they didn't want to help someone. You know, that's like kind of the theme behind any conversation I've ever had is that they've all mentioned that they want to help someone, that they want to do some kind of good in this world, that they want to be a blessing, a service to others in some way, whatever that looks like for them. And and that's how we were meant to be. That's how we were created was was to be in communion with each other. So again, I'm going through this season myself that I've been told and I believe so much that I was supposed to do this whole life thing by myself. Then, God came in and he's like, hey, by the way, no, you can't, smack me upside the head and made me realize a few things. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll let you in, no one else. And then over the past several years, and especially in the past couple months, he's really opened my eyes more. And he's like, no, like, I mean, you need other people. I need you to do this life thing with other people. Like, you can do it alone and I can use you. And, you can do all these great things in life. Sure, if you do it alone, but if you allow someone else in and that comes with relationships, whether it's brotherly friendships, your partner that you want to marry in the future, anything and everything like that, having those deep emotional connections and bonds with other people are really going to make things different in more ways than I can even tell you because I'm still learning this process myself. All right, it is not simple and it is a very complex matter. So I just want to like, press on you guys to find groups of guys. All right. They're all over. And if you can't find one in your area, then you create one. All you need is to start with like one person, whether they're your friend or a complete stranger, it doesn't matter. But just go start something or go be a part of something. Go join some kind of a group. Be around guys that can hold each other accountable, that can uh, that can just help build each other, that you can work with and talk to and actually open up with, because we're not meant to be holding everything in. Again, I know the world tells us guys are not meant to have feelings and emotions. They're not supposed to express them. You can't cry. You can't do any of this crap. And that's not true. That's not biblical. That's not anything that even makes common sense. That goes against all types of psychology. That goes against everything that's of human nature. So when you start to see that, it's like, okay, if what the world's telling me is going against all these things that make sense, including my own common sense, then let's not do what the world says. Let me try and do the opposite, and let me see where that gets me. So God knows I can go on for literally ever about this kind of stuff. So, so some quotes I love hearing about this. One is like from Cody Sanchez. She says, "Get in rooms where your dreams are others' realities." So go be with, she's a big entrepreneur, and that's what she talks about. So she's like, if you want to go be successful in life, if you want to go have a business, if you want to go grow and challenge yourself, then go be around people who are already doing that. So if you are just wanting to if you're that skinny kid, like I was that, small, weak, skinny kid, or if you're that really fat guy and you just want to become healthier, go be around people who work out and live a healthy lifestyle. If you don't have a good relationship with God and you want to, go find a church of people who live the life and actually serve God. Go find those people that actually do what the Bible says. Go be with them and around them. Because if they're actually doing what the Bible says, then they're going to accept you and allow you in and talk with you and help share the gospel and help you on that journey. Granted, not saying that everyone goes to church is perfect and is going to do that, because that's a whole other pharisaical type of people that go, but the ones who are there and are wanting to help, they will. The ones that don't, God's got work to do on them. But go be around people that are doing the thing that you want, that you're trying to get to. If you're going to school to be a lawyer, I don't know, maybe go talk to lawyers. Go learn about lawyer things from people who are actually already lawyers. Anything like that. C.S. Lewis has one that says, "My prayer is that when I die, all of hell rejoices. I am out of the fight." I don't know about you, but for me, that one just like super stands out, because that's kind of like my mentality, is that I want to know that if I'm doing something, against something that's evil, if I know that the enemy is evil and that he is wanting me to be isolated and not to, experience all the great things that God has, and not to enjoy the great things God has, to, live the life, to enjoy that sunrise, to, spend time with friends and family and love and all these great things. And if I know that the enemy's trying to keep me from all that and God wants to give that to me, then I want to go against what the enemy is saying and doing. And I want it to, and for me, again, this is a me thing. I want to go against the enemy so much that I am making his life and his existence so much harder, because I'm not giving in to what he wants of, well, it was hard to talk to this girl, so I'm not going to go talk to her anymore. I'm not going to talk to any girl, so I'm going to be by myself all the time. And I'm going to seclude myself, and I'm going to go play video games all day in my parents' basement and not have to people at all. And I'm not going to grow or do anything because it's scary or hard or blah, blah, blah. And there's things like that that you can do. I mean, I did do them myself for a while there, but then I wanted to grow up, and it's quotes like this, it's mindsets like this that I wanted to change into, because I'm like, I want to be better. So I want to be all for God and completely against the enemy, and be able to make the enemy's life and existence just that much harder as much as I can. So I want to know that I'm doing so much for God that, the enemy knows my name and he's like, I need this guy gone. And because he's messing me up, he's messing with my plans. So that's a me thing, but that's a very specific type of mindset that people can grow into. Uh, Irma Bombeck's has one that says like, when I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left, and could say, I used everything you gave me. Are you willing to put everything you have on the table? Are you willing to be used to the fullest degree? Are you willing? Are you willing to be used by God? Are you willing to even try in this life? Because at this point in today's world, if you just try, you're already going to be much more successful than like at least 90, 95% of people in the world at this point. And that's just to try a little bit. So are you willing to even put in that type of time and attention and sacrifice? Nothing good comes without some kind of sacrifice. It's nice to have fun on the weekends and hang out and play video games, watch TV, do whatever. Sometimes you have to sacrifice that fun so you can do other things that are more beneficial that will bring more joy and happiness down the road. Okay, so I know I lived in this one. This is a Latin phrase that I cannot pronounce, I'm pretty sure. But it goes "Enster quinquus invenitar." I've talked about this one many times. It says its literal translation means "in filth it will be found." So what you most need in life is going to be where you least want to look. In that dark, scary closet, facing your fear, facing that monster, the monster under your bed, in your closet, whatever analogy you want to use. When you face that thing that you're most scared of, that is where you will find the freedom, is, overcoming the fear, is not living in the fear, not letting that thought, because again, we suffer more from our thoughts than in reality. That was a quote from someone that I can't remember now. But anyways, uh, but don't live in the fear. Don't live in the darkness and be afraid of it. Overcome it, challenge it, push yourself to go through it. And that is where growth comes from. That is where you get to find out who you are. And that's how you build your character. Not because you're just born brave and you're born strong and courageous and any of this stuff. These are things that you learn. To some degree, you might be given a little bit of it. I don't know. I'm not God, but I know for sure that, I didn't have any types of these great character traits or anything that I could even say was worth taking recognition on when I was younger and even in my teens. I didn't learn the vast majority, like 95% of what I know now, I didn't know until the past 3, 4 years, maybe. So you can change. You just have to be willing to allow yourself to change and to grow. And growth comes through pain and suffering, unfortunately. But it's good. It's good growth, right? You're not just sitting there like, beating on yourself and saying, well, yeah, just because now I hit myself, I'm gonna grow. It's no, it's actually positive, helpful growth and building yourself up. Okay, Voltaire has one that goes, it is difficult to free fools from the chains they revere. And it's super accurate because people are, that whole ignorance is bliss kind of thing. I hate seeing it because, granted, again, I came from a version of that, and I hated seeing, like, even today, how people are so ignorant to the reality of the world and to so many things, so many basic, very, very basic, humane, common sense things, and they are completely blind to it because the they like the other stuff that comes with it. They like the other distractions, the social media, all the crap they watch, all the porn, all the TV, all the everything that they fill themselves with. They care more for those chains because it gives them that little hit of pleasure instead of actually opening their eyes and breaking free from those chains because they're really just holding on to them. And it's and they're holding on to their own chains is really kind of what it comes down to. And so giving those up is very hard, and it kind of breaks my heart to be able to see that as much as I do in today's world. I don't know who said this quote, or even when I heard it. It was many years ago, but it's one of the few that I live by, and it says, and it goes, "Be the person you wish you had when you were younger." And that one hit me super hard when I first came across it, because I'm like, I wish I had X, Y, Z. I wish I had someone who spent that time with me, who was intentional with me, who told me what I needed to do, who pushed me, who was able to actually be that really great role model and example growing up and whatnot. And that looks like different things for different people. But to a degree, it kind of, comes back to the same idea of, just someone being able to be there for you and being able to work with you every day. And because again, we want to be accepted, we want to grow, we want to become better, but we don't know that when we're young. So, and especially in today's world, like I was watching TV my entire life. Like for the first 19 years of my life, you can categorize my entire day as waking up in the late morning, early afternoon to just eating whatever crap food there was, sitting in front of the TV, um, maybe, maybe did a little bit of school, like, I mean, a little bit, and back to the TV, back to food, back to doing nothing. Like I lived in distraction for literally the entire first 19 years of my life, in front of the TV, in front of gaming systems, and on listening to music and everything. Like there's always some kind of a distraction, and I know that that was for me, and no one was even willing to stand up and or even step up or say, you know. Go read a book. Go to the gym. Go do this. Let me help you. Like, I didn't get that, wanted it, needed it, and now I do that for so many people. Some appreciate it, some don't. Either way, that's what you get with me. So, you know, love it or leave it. And then so Thomas Jefferson, he says, if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. And I mean that goes back to the idea, or yeah, pretty much back to the idea of, if you want to be able to change anything, you have to be willing to change, right? You have to be willing, if something's not working, the definition of insanity is, keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's not how things work. So, I mean, that's true. So if things are not changing because, or if things are not growing, if you're not growing, if you're not changing, if things aren't getting better than you're doing the same thing, that's being in the definition of insanity. So try something new. Change who you are. Change when you wake up. Change your lifestyle, your habits, your everything. Change and see if how change comes when you do that. Okay. Now, Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Guys, you need to have someone who's willing to be the jerk, to be the straightforward, tough love, honest version. I know nothing but that. I cannot do sugarcoating to save my life. Not because I can't, but because I refuse to. Because sugarcoating has never helped anyone a day in their life. There's tough love, and there is, being too weak to stand your ground to say what needs to be said. And honestly, more people than not are just too scared to say what they need to say because they have lost their spine and they don't know how to be a man. And that's what I've seen more than not in today's world, to say the very least, at least what I can say on here. So it's needing to be that that father figure. You're meant to be a big brother. You're meant to be the father. You're meant to be the role model. We're needing those things more and more every single day because we need to know, what's going on. We need someone to give us that guidance. You don't know what you don't know, right? So when you're a kid, you don't know anything. When you're a teenager, you know pretty much nothing, but maybe a little bit more. When you're an adult, you start to learn a few things and you're like, man, if only I started doing these things when I was younger, but no one told me. So start doing them now for yourself and start telling other people when you come across them. Don't just say, how's your day? All right, cool. See you later. Be like, how are you? What is really going on? What are your thoughts like lately? How can I help you? How can I pray for you? How can I push you? So it's things like that. Again, I know that's not most people's mindset. That is mine, but it is one that I've had to acquire over years. Okay, Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you be strong and courageous? Do not be terrified nor dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. We're not meant to be scared, we're not meant to be afraid of this world. We're meant to be the strong and courageous. So do that, be that. That doesn't mean that it's not hard. That doesn't mean that you're not afraid of the situation. It just means even though with that fear, you still do the thing, which is where that courage comes in, is doing the thing even though you're scared. That's what courage is. Anyways, okay. Jeremiah 17:9-10. The heart is more deceitful than all else and is desperately sick. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart. I test the mind to give to each person according to his ways, according to the results of his deeds. The results of his deeds, what are you doing? Like, are you actually doing anything in today's world? Honestly, I mean, are you trying? Are you challenging yourself? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to give things up that this world says is valuable and cool and you should follow? Are you willing to give that kind of stuff up? Are you willing to be put in that scared, vulnerable stage of praying for someone, whether you know them or not? Are you willing to call out something evil when you see it? Are you in that friend group where you have some guys that might just be talking a bunch of smack, or, you know, uh, you know, again, we say that locker room talk, and which is true. So are they taking any of that kind of stuff where they're, let's say, negative talk about something or someone, for like women, for example, and there's like, oh yeah, some kind of locker room talk about women. And if you're like, yeah, no, I don't believe in that, I don't agree with that, that's not cool. Are you willing to be the one that stands up and talks against that and says, really, are you still Are you like a 12-year-old child that talks like that still? Or are you an adult? Can you actually act like an adult and talk like one? Very basic example, but are you willing to be the one to step up and stand out in those deeds, in those areas? Are you willing to do the good deed? It's kind of what I'm getting to. Again, I know how I said earlier how the world tells us not to cry, be emotional and vulnerable and stuff like that, and I'm still working on learning this myself. It's a very new thing, so I'm not gonna act like I have all the answers towards it. However, John 11:35, Jesus wept. He was still able and willing to be emotional and vulnerable and open because he was still human, or at least half for him. But we are all human, and which makes us a whole lot more emotional and out of our wits about things. So I'm not one that says you just go to any person and just like ball out with them all the time and blah blah blah. But you should be able to have those groups of guys that you can go to, that you can open up and cry with. Like I'm more on that uh, now than I ever have been before, because you need to get these kinds of feelings and emotions out so you can understand them. Because if you bottle them up, they're only going to make things worse over time. Ask me how I know. Matthew 10:22. And you will be hated by all because of my name, but it is the one who has endured to the end who will be saved. Again, it's not going to be easy. Nothing in life that's worth doing is easy. So it's, are you willing to just push through? Not did you succeed every time? Not was it easy? Not did you overcome everything every time? Not was it perfect? Blah, blah, blah. It's endure to the end. Is will you be willing to go to the end for what you believe in and what you're willing to sacrifice? Matthew 22:14, for many are called, but few are chosen. Yeah, I see and feel this one so much more each and every day because I see what so many people are capable of, but they just don't do the thing because they wouldn't rather do as much of the good thing as maybe what's popular or what's relaxing or what's entertaining or whatnot. And I think that this verse so much more in that sense, so like everyone is called. We're like every human alive has been called, but how many people are actually willing to go spread the gospel, talk about the good news, go pray for that person, go change their heart from the world and give it to God? Who's actually willing to do these things? And it's not that many. Like in the grand scheme of how many people there are, it's not that many. And that terrifies me for them. Because it just breaks my heart to know that that's how lost people are. So that makes me want to do what I do all the more. Matthew 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. That's going back to the fact that we can't do this life thing on our own. We need to go back to obviously, Yeshua himself, that we need him. He's the only one who's going to be able to help us and do what is needed. And that it all stems back from him. Like if we don't have him at the center, if we don't rely on him, if we don't trust and give our burdens over to him, we're not going to be able to do it. And it's as plain and simple as that. We need him, and not only do we need him, but he also puts other people in this world that we need help, that he gives us to help us with. That's the friends, the family, the community that I'm talking about. And lastly, Galatians 6:7, a man reaps what he sows. What are you sowing in life? And if you knew that what you're doing now and today in every situation, interaction, conversation, thought, everything, if you knew that you're going to get back what you're doing, do you want to keep doing what you're doing? Simple. It's a very simple question. It hurts and it sucks. Um, but there it is. You're gonna reap what you sow. You're gonna get what you've been given or what you're giving. You're gonna get what you've been giving. What have you been giving? Have you even been giving and helping, doing anything in this world or not? Have you been helping others or not? Have you been spreading the good news or not? Have you been fill in the blank? All right. I love you guys. I'll talk with you all next time whenever whenever I decide to go off on another 2 hour long tangent. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Love you guys. Be blessed.